And the change of format is probably quite a significant deal. It gives you a little bit more wiggle room. Races to 5 and 4 in the last 16 stages have been tough, I think, brutal, ruthless. This time around, there's a little bit more time to get yourself settled in. It is Phil Parkin's first Ultimate Pool final. He is the underdog, no question about it. But he knows, underdog or not, he's very capable of taking down this title. He's in good form. He's played really well on his route through to this stage. Beat Chris Melling in the last 16 earlier, and with a brilliant performance, one of the performances of the day. He's come through the draw unscathed to reach his first Ultimate Pool final. He's up against a familiar foe. These two know each other well from a very similar neck of the woods. John McAllister, a former world champion. Ultimate Pool Pro Series champion as of this season. And he will be the favourite. He's been the player of the tournament today. He was good yesterday, whilst a bit scratchy. That can be the case in race to 4 group stages, but he got through. Said to us, it's the first ever individual group stage he's ever got through, and you include all the Monday nights he's been in. Not usually been his friend, but get through he did, and he's sailed through today. 5-2 win against Craig Waddingham, the highlight. But he's been pretty flawless in his other 2 games as well. 5-0 against Carl Cope, 5-2 against Arfan Dad. But he's going to find himself 1-0 down, all things being well, because Phil Parkin should be able to get the job done from here.
Keyboard just went far enough to be past the red to make it nice and simple for him. And the routine 8-ball then to take the opening frame. What a start. Phil's such a confidence player, such a brilliant player that he'll just back himself to find 8 finishes. Oh, we're going to have a golden break straight away.
Wow. Welcome to the final, John.
This is a funny one as well. Gets the 8-ball moving and then bang.
Rack him up again. John McAllister. Just an aside here, that were Phil Parkin to win this match, he would vault himself into the top 16 on the Ultimate Pool rankings.
Brilliant. John's already very high, isn't he?
Yeah, very high. So Phil's currently ranked 24th with the live ranking points that he's already picked up, 3,000 for reaching the final. John McAllister, for reaching the final, is currently ranked 6th. If he gets himself another 3,000 ranking points, he'll sneak above Jack Whelan into the top 5 on the Ultimate Pool rankings.
No doubt about it that John should be firmly entrenched in the top 16. He's one of the absolute best, and no surprise that he's up and pushing the top 5.
Yellow balls in play.
I think what's impressive is, you know, it's a 2-year rolling list, so points accrued last year, you know, have some weight, and that was John's first year on the tour, and you know, he gave himself a bit of a grace period for getting settled and all the rest of it. It's very, very different to what he was used to. And how well has he gone?
Well, yeah, I mean, absolutely. When you consider that right now he sits in 6th, so Jack Whelan, Chris Melling, Phil Harrison, Stevie Dempsey and Tom Cousins all have 2 years worth of rankings, and he's got 1. One in this year, you know, so it's very, very impressive. What he did last year to get as high as he did was very good.
So you get 6,000 points for winning an Ultimate Pool ranking event. Tom Cousins is currently 12,000 ahead of second place.
He is flying. I tell you what, though, on the 1 year, I mean, this would be John. If John was to win it, it'd be his 2nd title on the year, and joining Tom, who's already got to the 2 titles this year. We've only just ticked into May.
Yeah, he'd be up there.
Yeah,
he'd be up there. I think CC's still ahead.
Oh yeah, no, he is. But what I mean is, it's impressive that that John's going to be really pushing it. But it looks like while we're doing all that and going through the rankings, Phil Parkin has gone through this really nicely, and it's just okay, just okay. Sort of grazed off the ball, I think he was using just to hold the cue ball, but never going to miss that anyway.
Good start.
And also, we talk a lot about, you know, semi-finals are the ones that almost tend to get more nervy than finals. Once you're in the final, you can sometimes just express yourself and play your best stuff rather than the semis when you're desperate to get there. So even though it got a little edgy, how about this for a break, by the way? Oh, that was huge. But yeah, just going back to my point, for Phil, I think it was a little bit tight between him and Dylan at times, but you know, he'll be released now that he's into the final. It will be interesting to see if it's tight towards the end, whether any of that comes back. But right now, he's just playing a race to 8 against John McAllister, and nothing else is probably in his mind. John really wants this yellow to squeeze in top left. If it does, then yellow's a golden. If not, it's slightly tough. You can obviously take the yellow top right, but then how do you deal with the other yellow there? So he really wants this to go, and he might just use the whole pocket here. A dead weight, allow it to drop. Yeah, see how that used quite a lot of the pocket. Brilliant stuff from John McAllister. It was all about that first shot. Once that dropped in, it would have been a major error for him not to take the frame out. He's still got to do it, and he did it easily enough.
Extension called.
What's John lining up here? He's lining up the 3 ball. This is ambitious, although he's expecting to cause a major problem for yellows if it doesn't work. Yeah, it didn't work.
Extension called.
Well, it was a clever shot from Phil, but you're asking a lot to land on the next ball there. Even if you can see the yellow to top left, you're not going to be on it unless you get out into the middle of the table. So that was a very ambitious shot. Obviously, it's gone about as wrong as it could do. I mean, he's unlucky not to have shot of anything, you know, safety-wise. To be completely four-ball snookered there is pretty outrageous, in all honesty, but he was unlikely to have a pot. And that's a gift for John. Big opportunity then for John to take the first one against the breaker. Good angle hit just to come across the top of the red. Just don't leave yourself straight. Will want a good angle on his last ball to get nicely on the 8 ball. Yeah, he's just looking at what he wants. Right hand side is straight on the red to bottom left is the plan for the last ball. And you just stun behind it. To get there, you want to be nicely, pretty much straight in on the next one to left centre. Needs to go. Yeah, no, he got there. Got there nicely. The perfect angle for John McAllister.
Here he goes.
Another crunching break from John McAllister, but nothing doing.
Oh, look at the leave as well. Look at that leave.
It's so good for Phil Parkin, having just lost his first frame against his break. You're just hoping that you get an opportunity in the next and you get this one. Toughest shot might be the first one. You might have to play the plant first shot. Well, he's leaving 2 above the centre pockets. It wouldn't have been ideal when he started out here. He's going to have to play for the one bottom left now. Had to make sure he got past the straight, and he's well past it. He can still nip this, but it's a little bit of a touchier shot than he would have wanted. Originally, I think his plan would have probably been to have this as his last shot and stun up for the 8 ball. But as long as he travels up to the middle of the table, he's fine here. Which he has. It's all good. It's all not really a problem at all. just like that, it's 3-3. Surely, yeah, had to. That was really crunched. His best break of the match for me, this one. Perfect cue ball. Not sure if the plan was to try and bump that yellow out or not. Obviously that was the only ball that needed a little bit of attention. May have played the yellow off the red to open up the pocket. May have tried to bump it out there and obviously nearly got it, but hasn't really come out far enough. But there is other ways. Mistake. Mistake from Phil Parkin.
And there will be more room in this match for mistakes. This was a mistake at 3-3 in a race to 5. You'd be fearing for him a little bit. But it's a final. Mistakes need to be kept to a minimum.
He'll want to get rid of both these reds in the middle of the table before he comes down, and I thought he would prefer to be going down off the red to left centre. If he's dead straight on the red to bottom left, you can certainly make the argument for taking the one bang in the middle of the table, but doesn't really need to. Keep it simpler and go the other way, but cue ball does a little bit more work. To me, it is a surprise that you leave that red up the table. You did see John have a little glance. The natural gets him behind the red to top left rather than trying to screw across the line for it top right. He's sort of playing down the line if it goes to the right hand side of the red, so you can see there clearly in the corner of your screen that plenty of room.
McAllister looking very sharp.
Yes, he can find a ball. And yes, he's got every opportunity to get some separation. These come out nice. perfect on this. Doesn't stop him knocking it in like it's over the pocket. Not absolutely certain here, just the sheer amount of traffic in between his last two balls will be quite important to be precise with the next two positional shots. Certainly is there. Make your mind up. Do you nip it through the gap underneath the yellow, above the 8 ball, or go above it? Both gaps are quite small.
Extension.
Goes underneath it. Slightest graze across it, but no damage. Pretty happy with this. Maybe a touch more on he wanted, but the line he can screw this across on is absolutely fine. Get John thinking about it on his next break. Hanging in as close as you can. Little bit shocked it's dry. Don't think it was as powerful and as clean as his previous one, which was also dry. But there was a lot of jaws hit.
Extension called.
Good opener from John. All his work's in one area of the table apart from one ball. Yeah, just working out. You could come back across and play the plant, but if he doesn't get straight on it, then the cue ball could come away. You'd almost want to be absolutely straight. You take him back to back, and then red bottom left becomes your last ball. That's why he's looking to see whether it's worth just dropping this in and get short or straight on the red to bottom left. Makes it a little bit cleaner. Might have come a turn too far. Difficult to tell from where we are, but might be absolutely perfect. He doesn't want to be past the straight because then he's kind of getting close to his next ball. Oh, he's fine. He's fine. He would have loved just the tiniest bit more angle, just so he could almost hold it on the straight a little bit better. Just punch away from the red, but he decided to roll past it so that he can use cushions here. In the end, he decided not to do anything, just drop it in.
Gap to find here for John McAllister. There's a gap to find. And that is the first big mistake of the day,
Yeah,
for John McAllister.
It really is. I mean, that's staggering, really. I was a little bit surprised he didn't try and get across to the left-hand side, but when you look at what he left himself, and he's such a big believer in that kind of leaving yourself the right line. If he makes the pot in the centre of the pocket, the gap is ginormous, but he nearly missed the pot, and that's why he's in this position.
Can he recover? He's close. Wasn't far away. Well, Phil Parkin, this feels like a big frame to pinch.
Massive moment in the match.
Very, very surprising. Just do not expect it with how good he's been today. A moment like that. And the difference is huge. You know, you're looking at 6-3 versus 5-4. 6-3, you've almost got one hand on that bit of gold. But now Phil Parkin's going to keep touch.
Yeah, not just 6-3, but 6-3 and having the next break as well. The opportunity then to go 7-3.
Yeah, it's big. John puts a bit extra into that break, I think, to avoid that very feeling.
For me, he's been hitting the break firmer than normal all day. I think he's kind of found that a little bit more pace for whatever reason. He's finding more success with it. You know, we've seen other players on this table take it off a little bit, but I think he's certainly giving it more of a hit.
It's a nice cannon first up.
Could have been better. Could have popped it over the middle. He's not landed nicely on anything.
Very well recovered.
Yeah, the one he's next to, I think, does go to the top left, so he's okay.
I think he's got access to the one over the bottom left hole as well, if you wanted that. Yeah, back in, maybe not prime position, but certainly back in good shape. Ooh, just wobbled, snuck in.
I think he'll be keen to keep the one to left centre as his last ball. So the one in the middle of the table, that's the tricky one. Oh, he's not got enough side on. He's okay. If this drops in the middle, and I'm sure it does, it's going to be a reroute. You could see what he was looking at. He wanted to go high of that yellow and try and get onto the yellow to left centre, the one that's right in the middle, then use the one he's just flicked off to connect to the other one. But if he drops this in and gets below straight on the yellow to left centre, he can get high on the one to right centre and come down that way, so it's not really the end of the world.
Yeah, just like this.
Touch fortunate, you have to say, when he got the cannon he didn't want.
Yeah, agreed. Response after making a pretty bad error in the last frame. It's been good. Has he gone far enough? I think so. Only just though. I think if he wanted to hold this straight he probably could. There's not much angle there. But enough. John McAllister gets out. 6-4 he leads. Take out of the arena. We are back live. 6-4 the lead for John McAllister. He's 2 away from the title. Phil Parkin is 2 away from John McAllister. This next frame then is key for Phil. Always, always an important element of any match when you're trailing. You know this well, size, just to keep your opponent off the hill.
Yeah, and for Phil, his break has just deserted him in terms of results. He hasn't been getting an even number of chances. I feel like they've both made one bad mistake, or one mistake. I don't want to go too harsh on it, but John's, you'd probably say, was a very bad mistake. Phil's was just didn't get out when he had a chance, but John's getting more chances right now. It's simple as that. And he's being very clinical with them, barring that obvious mistake. He could run the match here without Phil getting back. That's where we reached. Eight ball, the obvious problem. Not that it's a problem, it's just getting to it nicely.
Because it is flat to the cushion, do you think he may elect to give it a little tickle?
I would be surprised. I would be surprised, but it's an interesting one because of the obvious ball to get onto it is the red nearest left centre.
That yellow plays annoyingly, doesn't it?
But it's whenever you've got a ball that looks like a good ball, but you need to be absolutely straight on it for it to be a good ball, then in a strange way it's not a great ball, because your margin of error to land absolutely straight isn't huge.
He could be close to perfect here in terms of he's got 3 shots which are all straight. Right centre, bottom left, left centre. He could drop them all in. He's not going to be straight on the lowest of the red, so I wonder if he's going left centre now. Is he planning on playing into the 8 ball? He's got that angle if he wants it.
He's got the angle, but then he's not. If he goes into the 8 ball here, he's just not guaranteed to be on the red that he's nearest his cue now. So I don't think that's even an option for him. I think what I was saying at the start, the red to left centre is the perfect last ball if you're straight, but that makes it not the perfect last ball. So he's looking at the other red to bottom right. Now whether that was the plan originally or not, I don't know, but this isn't absolutely ideal. Easy enough to play on it if he wants to take it to the top left, which he's going to give some consideration to, but I think he's more intending to find the line, but he's going to have to straighten it. So he goes past the 8 ball. He'll know better that he's right behind it, whether it's natural or whether he needs to just trace a side on it. It looks natural. Yeah, he just needed that trace.
Phil Parkin may have an opportunity in this frame. This is not easy. He's looking at double. Well, that gap is not small. It's not big even.
Oh, it was tiny. When he hit that, I thought he was in.
I think if the yellows weren't there, it'd have been very, very close to sliding off the jaw, but the gap was so small.
And he played it at pocket weight as well. He's thinking, the reason he's played it in that pocket, you know, you can look at that and think, oh, surely there's got to be a better option. That was so tight. But if he can slide it anywhere near, then he's causing Phil a huge headache.
Yeah, if, say, for example, he gets that 8 ball in the way of those 2 yellows by the pocket, John's massive favourite to win the frame there, despite Phil being at the table with just his yellows and the 8 ball left.
Yeah, it's the one time where taking a pocket, you know, it gives you huge equity in the frame with 3 yellows around it.
So that was the consideration. That was the percentage call from John McAllister. It's not worked out. That was the decision. I'm sure there was plenty watching that thinking, surely the cut down the rails, the easier shot, all in.
I think looking back at the whole finish for John, and it's so easy to sit here and say it in hindsight, but the ball that would have worked to get onto the 8 ball was the one that was above the left centre that he took early in the visit. So one of those finishes, maybe you come down and deal with the ones at the bottom first and then go up the table. But it was exactly what Phil Parkin wanted and needed.
Just what Phil Parkin needed. And this time, John McAllister is punished with a dry break after making the error. Feels like a big chance for Phil Parkin to square things up.
Yeah, sort of bounced off that front ball. We've seen that a few times throughout the weekend. Just sometimes when you're really reaching back and you just catch it on that hop, it doesn't quite explode like it can do. Yeah, starting to turn his attention to the 8 ball, which is seriously well guarded. Had an option there if he wanted to just open them up a little bit. He could have played into the yellows just gently. You wouldn't want to play it with any pace, just to try and open up a little bit, especially when he's got reds over, you know, plenty of different pockets. Decided against it.
I don't think there's a place on the table you can land at the moment and pot that 8 ball.
But you saw him look straight away. That is... Oh, it's okay. Is the red to top right, see where the red is nearest the top right hand corner pocket? He had a look at that gap. Is there a gap from there to the potting angle?
Oh,
just
possibly.
to the left of it? That is the only place. But the gap is tiny. So you'd only play for that if you had the perfect ball to do it. And yeah. I think he's decided it. There is. I think he's decided, because I don't think you would leave it. He had the perfect angle just to drift down and just nudge the yellows. And And in all honesty, the yellow to the right of the 8 ball, just above the, the sort of 2 to the right, but the one higher one, that was the one. If he gets that full in the face, he's on left centre, he's on shots up the table. But I think he's decided, and I'm not surprised to see him leave the red that I was talking about, in terms of that's where he wants to get the cue ball to as last ball, because it means that you're not moving the cue ball into the gap, it's just naturally in the gap. Well, there you go, that is the gap. It's not big.
It's not. Not a big gap at all. He's actually looking at coming back a little.
Yeah, he can't put it where the red is. It has to be just to the left-hand side.
Yeah.
Because the gap gets him hitting the 8 ball full, but he needs to hit the 8 ball nearly half ball. But if he's hit this gap, all credit to it.
I think he has. Looks good, doesn't it? What an out from Phil Parkin. Fair play. And we go 6-all in the Players' Championship final.
Miss-hit this one. He's hit a few good ones in the match and come up dry. This one he has not hit well.
John McAllister then, decent chance.
No such problems this time for John. There's a much simpler back end to this finish than the one that got wrong for him last time, although I still expected him to get it last time. It wasn't that tough for him. I think the red to the left goes to bottom left. Straight in is perfect. Straight in.
Sorry, just going to say the fear for Phil is real here now, though.
Yeah.
Because that break may, still some pool to be played here, but maybe his last shot in the championship.
Yeah, agreed. Agreed. This is how we felt when it was 6-4 when John was in this position. There's nothing that Phil can do, he just has to be ready.
It's been a clinical visit to the table from John McAllister, and he will be the first to climb the hill. It's 7-6.
He crunched it.
And he's got a ball. He's got a chance. How good is it? It looks pretty good.
Difference between this break and the previous one that John hit was that smoother. Maybe just took a touch off it, but it was much smoother, flatter, and all the power went through the pack.
The yellows all go.
Yeah. It's the chance you'd want to win a title, in all honesty. Not the greatest of first shots. I think, is he just off straight the wrong way? He'd love to get rid of the one nearest the cushion on the left-hand side. Oh, he had just enough, pinched the pocket. Might have come back too far, though. If he has, then there's work here, but if he's on it, it's sort of, that's the work done. He just has to get back past the yellow, and then you're in great shape. Yeah, he was okay.
It's always more nervous watching than playing. Just took a look over to the John McAllister camp there, and let's just say the posture is very upright and tense. John, though, as ever, smooth and composed. 4 balls away, all in the open. The writing may be on the wall. The name may be on the trophy.
Surprised he left the yellow at the top of the table. Felt he wasn't quite on it correctly. Maybe just the tiniest bit of hope for Phil, but it's very tiny. This isn't too taxing for John, just the situation.
Here we go then. The championship 8-ball for John McAllister for his second title of the season. In it flies. He's done it again. Fabulous tournament from Phil Parkin, who is a gallant runner-up. But your champion taking home that trophy very, very shortly indeed is John McAllister, who can celebrate with his family. Lovely moment for him, and we'll be presenting the trophy when we return. Your champion is John McAllister.